What is going on, Pretender here, back with another Honkai Star video, and today I want to be talking about more of a controversial thing, and that is going to be regarding something about Castorice that is around the info that is going around for her kit. A lot of people are talking about it, so this time I wanted to actually go ahead and give my opinion on it and why I think certain things about it. And so in this video, I'm just going to be talking about what I do think. Before I get into the video, drop a like, drop a sub, hit the bell icon for future videos like this, and let's get straight into it. So if you are unaware about what this Castorice thing is going around that is bad, that a lot of people are saying is going to practically kill the game and why it's super broken, is pretty much there's this thing that Castorice does seem to have in her kit. Again, she's not in the official game, so this could end up being completely different on launch, so take this info with a grain of salt. It's what we know now, it's what the info is circling around, but pretty much, if you do own Castorice, her whole thing in her kit is that she has a passive that pretty much lets you revive in battle, even if she is not on your team. She doesn't even have to be on the second team, so you can have an MOC run where you have one team, maybe the Herda, the second team, maybe like Aglia, and then you just have those two teams and you don't have Castorice on either of them, right? If you have Castorice on your account and you die in the battle, you would get a free revive to proc from Castorice's passive, even though she's not on the team. So pretty much owning a character gives you this advantage of her not even being on the team. You can literally pull her, leave her level 1, and you're gonna get a free revive. So this has been the super controversial topic. A lot of CCs are talking about it. A lot of people have voiced their opinions on it. So I will just say now, this is my own opinion. This is exactly what I think about it. You may think of something completely different. We're not gonna have the same opinion. We are not the same person. Everyone is going to actually view this whole thing as different. Some may view it as positive, some may view it as a negative. I have a very specific look out that I do have for this. So I just wanted to get that off my chest just because, you know, I know a lot of people might not agree with me, so it kind of is what it is, you know, not everyone will. So pretty much my view on it right now is I think the concept of this is absolutely terrible. What I mean by concept is if this ends up being a thing for multiple characters in the future, it's going to be super bad if we ever extend it to something like stat buffs, such as if we're gonna have a future character, maybe even a future Amphoreus character. Let's take the Elijah XP for example, Serene or whatever her name was. Imagine she has this passive, but instead of something like a revive, it's going to be something like, hey, you get more energy per attack, you recover some skill points, maybe you get some crit damage. Certain condition is met, you get these extra stats. That is when I draw the line. That's when I think it's going to be bad. My opinion on Castorice having a revive in itself isn't too strong, just because I don't think the revive is as strong as people are saying. Sure, there's a lot of people that would benefit from the revive because maybe they're not strong enough to clear it. They actually end up dying in MOC. They don't have the strongest sustain. But I think the concept of the revive isn't the actual issue itself. Because, oh, okay, so if you skip Castorice, you think you're breaking your account. No, because the whole battles are not going to be tailor-made towards the revive. If you don't own Castorice, you're just going to be playing the game like you would skipping other character. You know, you usually would go in the mindset, I'm not going to have a revive. It's going to be the same mindset. Literally nothing changes. If you have Castorice, it becomes a bit easier because you have this extra safety net. But if you don't have Castorice, you're literally just playing the game normally. That is why I don't think the Castorice revive, it being a revive, is the issue itself, which you might think of something completely different. You might think it's broken and it's just insane. Personally, I just don't think the revive is that crazy. What I do think would make the revive a little too insane is if we ever get a point in the future in any of the endgame modes, any future endgame modes, where if the revive procs and it gives you stats, such as a turbulence buff where it's like if revive is proc or a character comes back from dying, you gain certain stats, certain energy. That is where the revive will become bad. That's when I think the revive is going to be insane, but I think the base just being a revive is not anything special. But as I mentioned, in the future, if we ever get this to become an actual thing in game where if you own a character and you fulfill a certain condition in battle, even if they are not on your team or either your teams, and we get more stuff such as stat buffs, energy gained, energy on hit, or anything like that, you deal more damage, any form of stats, any form of extra benefits in battle, that's where the line will be drawn. That's mainly why I do think the concept of this whole passive thing of them just being on your account is the bad thing. But again, I don't think the revive itself is the crazy part. I know a lot of people actually think the revive is absolutely broken, but for me personally, I don't think the revive is anything special. I think the concept of the passive just being there for free, you own the character and now you have access to this passive, you literally just have to pull the character, that is where it's going to get bad. Because again, what's stopping them from giving a future character an Amphoreus? Maybe once we get to 4.x, they have another character that is a passive, that instead of a revive, you fulfill a certain condition, like maybe you ult 3 times in battle, you give every everyone energy or something, or maybe it'll buff up their damage, just anything pretty much that they're doing. And if they keep recycling the passive thing onto new units, where it's going to definitely increase the value, because the passive just existing for your account for just owning the unit is making that unit that much more valuable, just because you just have to pull them, you don't even have to use them. That whole as a concept is going to be bad. It's going to make a lot of people want them because they're going to want these units to be stronger because they don't even have to use them. They literally don't even have to build them. As I mentioned, it's because it's a passive for Castorice just being on your account. You could just pull her and you don't even have to build her. You don't have to give her any relics. You don't have to level up her traces or anything like that. I forgot exactly if you're going to have to unlock it in a trace tree. If you have to do that, then that's it. You just do that and you're good to go. Whether people would actually spend over a pity, potentially 2 pities just to get their revive is up to them. But the fact that this even became a thing and it's something that is just, for the fact of the reason that it's just them being on your account and you getting this whole new passive ability to just proc is just absolutely absurd to me. Like, if she had to be on your team to proc it, sure, then it's like nothing that crazy, because she'd be on your team and it'd be a part of her maybe talent or something. Like, it's something that would happen and she has to be in the battle for it to proc. The actual thing of it procking outside of battle and not being on either team is just the insane part, and I definitely do think if they continuously do this onto future characters, whether it be energy buffs, whether it be skill points gained, whether it be damage reduction, whether it be more damage dealt, whether you gain crit rate, crit damage, once we start getting to the point where passives and you fulfill a condition, or maybe you even don't have to fulfill a condition, maybe the passive is just everyone in the game on your account gets 5% crit rate. Once we get to the point where that's happening, and if we get to a point where multiple units coming out have this passive thing, I definitely think that's going to be horrible for the actual health of the game. You could argue that you still don't need to pull these units just because if you don't have them, it's just like having Castorice, you're playing the game normally, which is true. But as the game difficulty goes on and these new units are not only going to have this passive, but are also just really good on their own, because Castorice herself is really, really good. As HP gets inflated even more as the years go by, because that's just how content works, as things will need to be hitting harder and all that kind of stuff, as just whatever is happening there is where it's just going to be a thing where a lot of people are going to be like, I need to get this unit to fulfill this crit rate. Or you could be in a position where it's like, I'm already strong, I can get this unit to become even stronger just because it's free stats for me just fulfilling a condition or just having the unit. Because as I mentioned, I don't really care about the revive and I don't think it's too crazy on its own, but just imagine the fact that you just have to pull for a unit, and now anytime you do anything in a end game mode, and if you, let's say, mess up, maybe you didn't get a certain thing and you accidentally didn't deal with the boss mechanic, and maybe they do a bunch of damage and it kills one of your units, boom, now they're back. That's gonna be like, oh, I don't have to really worry about messing up anymore. It definitely does take out a lot of the difficulty in the game. It definitely does just help you deal with a lot of stuff easier, just because now you don't really have to worry about dying as much just because you have a free revive. And if we ever get to the point where other units may provide energy, damage dial, damage reduction, all that stuff, and make it even easier just for you owning a unit, you have to pull this whole pity just to get a unit that is going to buff your entire account, because a lot of times we consider pulling for units that buff your entire account, and these passives do indeed buff your entire account. Even if the unit is not being used, these passive buffs your entire account. We pull Robin because she pretty much goes on every team. Same thing with someone like Tribby now. She buffs practically every team. Ruan Mei at the time also practically buffed every team. Now we have these passives that are literally buffing every team, no matter what it is. They don't even have to exist. You just fulfill a certain condition, and if they do give it to future units, whether that be during 3.x, 4.x, whatever it is going to be where the problem does become a little too bad. And that's what I do think about this passive ability. I definitely think it should be removed from Castorice and should not be a thing that is even considered. Unfortunately, I highly doubt anything will be done with it. I understand Castorice is supposed to be like the anniversary unit. She's supposed to be super broken, like how Acheron was when she released, how the next Acheron or whatever the next anniversary unit would be. I understand that every anniversary unit, they want to aim for getting the super crazy good unit. But you can make the unit super good, but there's also one thing of making the unit super good themselves, and also introducing a mechanic that is going to potentially make the game a lot worse in the long run. So once again, that is what I do think about this thing. I'm gonna say again, you might not agree with everything I said in this video, you may agree with none of it, it's just how it is, everyone agrees differently. You might think this is completely healthy, you might think everything about this is bad, the revive is too broken, it should be removed immediately, it should never be a thing, nothing about this should be a thing. But yeah, my opinion pretty much is just the idea of the revive is whatever, the revive is just there. If you don't have it, you play the game normally, whatever. But the idea of the passive existing in the first place and potentially being a thing on future characters that might bring even more revives, because what if we get to the point where the passive is just works for a revive, and we get another character that has a revive, and you're able to stack the revives. You die once, Castorice procs. You die the next one, maybe Elijah's procs. Once we get to the point like that, then it's like, okay, what's the point of ever summoning for a sustain again? If future characters give stats, which is my main issue, that's when the line is also just like, yikes, you know, like this thing should not be a thing. I just think the entire passive concept is something that just should not exist. But let me know what you guys think about this actual passive. I'm sure most people are in denial of it. Most people do not like it, which is very, very fair. I definitely think this should be something that should be criticized and definitely should not be in the final game. Hopefully they will do something. Again, I honestly highly doubt that something will be done because, you know, usually when something like this happens, nothing really happens. I have to hope there's enough complaining to the point that it actually ends up working on the CN side as well. I don't know how the CN side feels about this. If you know how the CN community is acting, please let me know. I would love to know because I want to see if they're also complaining about it. I know a lot of CCs are hating it. Practically almost everyone is fuming about it. I know it's something that's like crazy and could change the game forever. But yeah, that is my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Again, everyone's opinion is different. So if you see someone else comment what they think, do not attack them. You're very cringe if you attack someone for their opinion, especially regarding a game mechanic. It's just don't attack anyone in the comments if they do have a different opinion from yours. But yeah, again, feel free to discuss. Peace out.